Hello, new starters. Well, I hope in this past week you've had the chance to live in the moments, to see the wonder of the people around you in the moments as you've lived them. That kind of feeds into a little bit into the issue that I want to talk about today. And I started thinking about this issue in the last couple of days when my wife and I had the opportunity to rent a car. My daughter Tyler, when she was coming home for Emmy's birthday, was involved in a small incident, and the car needed to be fixed by our insurance. And the insurance company has a policy that if the car repairs take longer than a week, they will provide a rental car for you. And so that's what happened. So we went to pick up the rental car, and when we walked into the office, Emmy started engaging in a conversation with the woman behind the counter, just a casual conversation, asking her questions about herself. And at first the woman was fairly quiet and reserved, but as it went on, she became more effusive and more responsive, and telling stories. And then she ultimately started talking about her philosophies of life. And at one point, I got to the place where I was thinking, I just want the car. And but finally, we did get the car, and we moved on. But that relationship that we have with that woman, that was very, very brief, kind of reflects upon a great deal of our relationships. Most of the relationships that we live in, exist in throughout our lives, have this quality that they are because we find ourselves in a time and place that makes that relationship a reality. And the primary purpose of that relationship is I get something out of it. And if you think about all the people that you know and are involved in, most of the relationships will have some degree of that quality to it. But I noticed numbers of years ago that if I make the right choices, I can move the relationship from that kind of relationship to what I came to call a relationship of excellence. A relationship of excellence is one where I invest in another's life and they invest in mine. And it's not so much about what I get out of it, even though I do get wonderful things out of it. It's more about the reality of the quality of the relationship and the capacity to inspire the other, and vice versa. I see that being played out in the small story in the gospel where Jesus is walking along the road one day, and there's people gathered on either side of the road, and he looks up into a tree, and there's a man up in that tree, and the Bible says that he's a very small man, and so he's gotten into the tree in order to be able to see Jesus. And he has simply stepped into that situation to see what all the fuss is about. In reality, it's his expectation is that there'll be no relationship with Jesus. And at the very best, the fact that he's there at that time and place means that he might gain a sense of what other people are talking about. It's a classic relationship of convenience. But Jesus looks into the tree and looks into his heart, and he invests in Zacchaeus, the man in the tree. He invites him to come down, and he goes to his place for dinner. And there are two issues involved in that investment. Jesus goes to effort, and he makes himself vulnerable in that relationship. And that's what makes a relationship of excellence. My willingness to be committed to the other, to invest effort, and to be vulnerable in that relationship. And the incredible thing is that once I've moved a relationship to a relationship of excellence, it will transcend time and place. And what I gain out of that is the capacity to be the person that I am intended to be, and so does the other. And so I always want to think about relationships that I am in, and can I move them from a relationship of convenience to a relationship of excellence? As we go out into the week ahead, I think it probably is going to be helpful for us to look at those relationships and ask ourselves a question: what can I do to advance this to the next step? Have a good week.